Let's make the starting lineups. First on speed, Champlin Park, Coon Rapids. In goal, number 34, Madam Russell. Defense, number 8, Kylie Scott.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roseville Ice Arena for CTN Light Productions of the Section 5 AA semifinal for girls hockey as the number 1 seeded Maple Grove Crimson take on the number 4 seed Champlin Park Coon Rapids Fighting Bluebirds. Joining me in the booth is Bill Hupp. I'm Joe Yund, and a rematch of a game just at the beginning of December that Maple Grove jumped out to a 4-goal lead. CPCR rallied in the third period, but came up short, losing 4-2.
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup, and ironically enough, CPCR outshot Maple Grove in that game, Joe, 36-28, but Stella Rettram had a hat trick.
Natural.
She scored twice on shorthanded in that hockey game, and CPCR was able to come back in the third period, cut the deficit in half, but it's hard to go down 4 goals to a good team like Maple Grove with an outstanding netminder in between the pipes.
Yeah, you mentioned Stella Rettram, nominee for Miss Hockey with 55 points this season, and Coach Gutterman for Champlin Park Coon Rapids before the game, asking him about that matchup. He said she's one of the best penalty killers he's ever seen, but they can't let that happen. I mean, how big shorthanded goals always are. the difference a swing would make if that power play converts instead. It could have been a much different game. But as you look at it, Maple Grove, with just 6 losses in the season, all to other teams ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, they
Scott
played a loaded
forces
schedule.
it into the zone, and Bernovic tried to dump it deep. But Crimson able to kick it back out, and here is Stella Retram. On the go, gets past Julian, goes to the backhand and scores. Just 32 seconds into the game, and you see why she is so highly regarded.
Wow, it's a shame we don't have replay here on this broadcast because Stella Retram with a beautiful toe drag move in the slot to get it to her backhand, and then she just easily roofs it past Wastrel. And a quick 1-0 lead, obviously not the way the Bluebirds wanted this hockey game to start.
No, especially when you look at Danny Strom's numbers, the Maple Grove goalkeeper, a 1.22 goals against and a 952 saves percentage. So never going to be easy to try and come back against Maple Grove. But the Crimson really stacked at the top with 140 plus points from their top line, but it does drop off rather dramatically after that. But Retram's still out there. They get it to her. She's got another one. We're not even a minute into the game.
Wow, that goal coming at 58 seconds of the first period. And the 2-on-1, the bad turnover in their own zone by the Bluebirds. And then it was a 2-on-1, great feed across, and Retram again goes top shelf. I love this, though, by the captain, Kylie Scott, trying to settle her goaltender down because obviously, giving up 2 goals to a player of Stella Retram's quality it can easily snowball, so she's got to stop the bleeding right now.
CPCR needs to get their top line going. They have some talent at the top as well. Shot into the glove of Danny Strom, and she holds for a face-off.
Officially, the time of the goal was 59 seconds, so. But, what is giving up 2 early goals do for, momentum all with the Crimson right now?
Clearly, but, you just got to right the ship. You obviously can't get both back immediately, but you have to spend some time playing in the Maple Grove end if you can. And here's another opportunity. Ella Olson racing down the left side. Shot, glove saved by Wastrel.
Well, you notice both goals for the Crimson scored off rushes, so transition defense has to be cleaned up because for poor Wastrel has had no chance with a couple of those goals. With Stella Retram bearing down, on her net both times.
And Retram right back in the face-off dot. Now Shipley tied up with Scott. Shipley able to win it, but the pass back to the point eluded Sillerud. Goes all the way back. Strom gets it to Sillerud. Back behind the net they go, and up the middle. Kaylee Olson couldn't push it ahead to Retram. Retram gets it into the zone, right back out by Scott. It's going to go all the way down, but icing is waved off. As Sillerud recovers behind her own net. Chased by Bowden, goes to the corner, backhands up the board. Retram off the stick of Shipley. Scott tried to hold for the zone to clear. Able to get it in deep. This one played off the boards all the way down. That'll be icing against Maple Grove. And a face-off back in their end. Yeah, this is essentially worst-case scenario for Coach Todd Gutterman and the Champlin Park Coon Rapids Fighting Bluebirds. Give up 2 goals to one of the top players in the state inside the first minute of play. They always talk about the worst goals are the goals in the first and last minute of any period. They gave up 2 in the opening minute of the hockey game.
And as we said in their first matchup, they got
Bernovic
down 4-0.
battling out, and then it's tipped away as she got near the crease of Strom. But this top line with Bernovic, McKenzie, and Johnson is definitely capable of scoring and putting in some good pressure. As Swegan trying to center it. Johnson stays with it, tried to center again. That was stopped up by the stick of Strom. Behind the net goes Erickson. And now chipped off the glass, and it's Abby Oakland to center. Tipped off her stick by Del Castillo, but she chases it down in the corner. Pressured by Oswego, turned into the corner by Mikaday for Maple Grove. Plays it back behind, out of the reach of Oakland. She's tied up with Nola Milton. Able to come out and attack the net. Poked away by Wastrel. Held there by Ella Olson, who gets it in deep. Behind the net is Wilhelmy. She leaves it on the board for Erickson. Erickson had it poked away by Oswego, and Del Castillo has it for the Bluebirds. Plays it off the boards and out. It was touched at the blue line by Wilhelmy, so no icing.
You know, if you actually judge zone time, the Fighting Bluebirds have had the better of play so far. They've spent more time in the zone, but obviously the grade A chances have gone the way of Maple Grove so far.
Scott trying to work her way out of the corner. This one played to the line, knocked down with a hand by Johnson. Stalled at center, Emma Olson with a stick all up in her business, but no call to be had. Kylie Scott digs it free, down the lane, shoots and scores! And that is a gigantic goal for the Bluebirds early, and that was a soft one that just stuck under the arm of Danny Strom, and sometimes you need luck to be on your side.
You gotta put pucks on the net, and that's exactly what Kylie Scott did as she entered the right circle. She just threw it on net, no screen in front of Strom, and you're right, absolutely a soft goal. She sort of just looked behind her, and it was in the back of the net. Credit to Kylie Scott for making something happen, though, and the Bluebirds are right back in this hockey game.
Maple Grove tried to come out with that top line. It was stopped up by Kylie Scott, and she had a bit of a chance up the near side. Now the forecheck grinds in the far corner, but you see Retram out near the blue line, just circling, waiting to spring free and try and use her speed to get back behind the Bluebird defense. Scott plays it up off the glass. It got away from Ketting. Zahalka can't get it out of the zone. Chopped back in by Kelsey Olson out front. And well defended as Retram was tied up by Scott in the slot. Clear attempt won't go. Retram, a rebound chance for Olson on the doorstep. A third chance, hit traffic and went wide. Couple of big saves for Maddie Wastrel, and they'll need her to be at her absolute best the remainder of the contest if they hope to come back and knock off the mighty Crimson.
Yeah, a lot of game left to play. I mean, obviously you don't want to give up 2 goals in the first period, but a lot of hockey left, and Wastrel will need to dial the focus in and try to put those couple goals behind her.
Mikaday dropped it off. Ella Olson's shot sticked away by Wastrel. Far corner, Lily McKenzie pulls it off the boards, and she has speed down the left wing. Long shot in, stick save, and then poked behind by Strom. Oswego all the way down to the corner, jams it behind. McKenzie looked to center, but no one home, and then the long pass too far for Ella Olson, and that will be icing on the Crimson. But you see, they try and get that weak side wing, spring them early, give them a stretch pass, and try and get behind the defense. Makes it a little uncomfortable as a blue liner to get inside the zone and really try and hold that zone when you know they are likely to try and squirt someone behind you. Yeah, and have already done so successfully a couple of times.
Yeah, you wonder if Coach Coltis, who is obviously very familiar with this program, saw that as a vulnerability and is trying to exploit it, but it's very dangerous.
Bella Shipley trying to work her way inside, had it knocked free by Del Castillo. McKenzie flips it out to center. Singh cherry picking a bit at the blue line, fires it in, easily gloved and held by Strom.
But again, not a bad idea by Singh, because she earned a face-off in the zone, allows them to get a change. So throw the puck on net, force Strom to make a save. You never know when a rebound's going to come out to you, and sometimes you earn a little zone face-off as well.
Face-off win, shot from Scott. This one scooped up with the stick into the glove, and we'll try it again.
You wonder maybe if Strom's focus was a little shaky with a 2-goal lead. I hadn't seen much action, and then Kylie Scott just slips one past her.
Olsen able to win the draw against Olsen again. That's Olsen for CPCR winning against Maple Grove's Olsen. This one played behind, back to the near side, bounces away from Ketting, out to the point. Scott couldn't settle the bouncing puck, and now trying to contain Wilhelmy, able to come away with the puck, stops up in the corner, looks ahead for Ketting. Ketting turns and skates, gets it to Bowden, and it kind of handcuffed her a bit. Behind the net for Maple Grove is Grace Erickson. She'll skate and then try and just chip it out to center. It comes right back to her. Up the near boards and hacked ahead by Suckup. Cross to Milton. Back to Ketting. Ketting, a big boomer that misses high. Loose puck corralled by the Crimson and swept around for Grace Erickson. She fires it all the way down, and icing waved off because Shelby Julian could have had a play on the puck at center ice. One-touch pass from Johnson was a little behind Lily McKenzie, loses her stick but keeps playing soccer up the boards. Shipley got it turned around, but that was interrupted by Johnson, and here's Retram. That's blocked by Shipley and goes wide. Olsen in the corner, down to Retram, out to the point, too much on it, and it went right past Elfstrand all the way down. Brooklyn Johnson putting on the Jets. Strom will sweep it to the near corner. That'll got past Sillerud momentarily, but she gets it out to center, and here's Kylie Scott. Lost the handle, trying to shake Shipley. Now able to get back in control, steps around Retram as well.
Good recovery by Scott, who is one of the better players on this ice. Such a smooth skater out there.
Lily McKenzie plays it off the side of the cage behind. Olsen spun around and ends up on the ice. Tessa Bowden on the forecheck for CPCR. Zahalka able to dig it free. Ketting gets control. Back to the point. Del Castillo. Wrist shot through traffic. Deflects wide into the corner. Retram off the boards. Gets it ahead for Ella Olsen. Ella Olsen will snap it in. Stick save for Wastrel. Scott sweeps it back behind. Del Castillo pressured, and the pass hit the skates of Mickaday and ends up back behind. Poked into the corner and now back into the corner from Grace Erickson. CPCR will try the near side instead. That's intercepted by Ella Olsen, who takes a pretty serious hit. Takes Ketting into the boards, and there is an arm raised, so we'll have our first penalty. It'll go against Maple Grove as Scott goes behind her own net to get the netminder out, but then the long pass doesn't click with Ketting, and we have Ella Olsen going to the box for a check, and CPCR going onto the power play with 7:47 to go, first period. Official call is a cross check.
Power play 19% on the season for the Bluebirds. Maple Grove killing off about 76% of the penalties they take, but a real opportunity here for CPCR to tie this game.
McKenzie recovers in the corner, out to the point. It was out of the reach of Julian. This is just played back in by Johnson. That gives Erickson a chance to kill some time for the Crimson. Long pass looking for Retram, intercepted by Lily McKenzie. Fires it in right on goal, and Strom has seen enough.
What kind of system, Joe, for those who have not seen the Bluebirds this much, what kind of system do they try to run on the power play?
Their power play is a basic overload. I'm not sure that they mix it up or not. I'm sure that by this point in the season with this level of players, they have a couple they can. Typically it's an overload, but here's an opportunity shorthanded. Shipley racing to the other end, centering for Retram. She was tied up.
Nice job by Johnson to tie up Retram, who again scored 2 shorthanded goals in the regular season.
It was Kylie Scott.
Oh, Kylie Scott, beg your pardon. I thought it was 22. Well, Kylie Scott then, excellent job by her.
Well, Retram again pokes it free coming up center ice. Here's Johnson working her way around Retram into the zone, takes it wide out front. Deflected, and McKenzie just couldn't settle it down and gain control. Instead, Shipley gets it ahead for Retram. Retram going to try and tack the triangle on Scott. Scott stayed right with her. And the turnover goes back to Kylie Scott. Scott will skate it to the other end. Try to leave it for Ketting. Ketting back out front. Scott backhands off a skate. Ketting pushes it toward the net, and Strom will cover it up. 37 seconds to go on the power play. And you can tell that both Ketting and Scott were absolutely gassed as they tried to do something on that last power play rush.
Yeah, Scott tied up Retrum nicely down on this end, but credit also to Lily McKenzie for coming back and taking the right angle and poke checking that free. So team defense as they have 37 seconds still left on this power play.
6:24 to go, first period. Face-off win for Mickaday, but right back on Strom. So she covers it up. It burns a couple seconds off of that power play, and we'll try it again.
We don't have official stats, Joe, but it seems like CPCR is having good success at the face-off dot.
I've yet to see a high school venue that keeps track of face-offs.
I would love that.
I would love it too. Bowden tried to spin and shoot, but it got off the end of her stick. Singh in the corner now for CPCR. Out to the point. Shelby Julian through traffic into the glove and out of the glove, and a bouncing puck in the slot. Singh can't control. Del Castillo pushes it back into the scrum. Singh had a piece of it momentarily, and now Mickaday gets a handle on it and gets it out of the zone. Penalty to Olsen is over. CPCR swinging it back and forth behind their own net. And Maple Grove starting to bring a little bit of forecheck pressure. This is going to be Cam Singh skating down the right wing for CPCR, trying to get around the corner. Plays it right out toward the top of the crease. Poked away by Strom. Bouncing puck sent out to center by Pim Wilhelmy. Julian will just play this in on Strom. CPCR finishing a line change. This one flipped back to the far corner. Lily McKenzie trying to jump on that loose puck. Still battling for it. Comes free to Del Castillo. Sends it toward the net. Back out on the near side, Sillerud. And now Scott regroups with Del Castillo. The pass back for Johnson. Skipped over her stick. Stays with it. Now plays it back across. McKenzie trying to get there. Shipley there first for Maple Grove. Shipley in front of her own net. Voids a poke check. Gets it ahead to Olsen. Olsen will carry it into the zone. Looks for a shot. Toe saved by Wastrel. Rebound cleared by Scott. And now Brooklyn Johnson trying to go back the other way. Cuts back across to avoid Retrum, but then ridden off the puck by Kelsey Olsen. Milton dumping it in and getting in on the forecheck, and then getting in the way of that long stretch pass intended for Retrum. I don't know if that was necessarily her defensive assignment, but it worked. Kylie Scott trying to get around the corner, centers out front, and boy, Lily McKenzie was at the back post, and puck just did not quite make it all the way through. This one poked to the edge. Retrum recovers. And now out to the point. Played across for Grace Erickson. Shot through traffic, hit a skate and went behind. Centering pass denied by Kylie Scott. And now sent out by Nola Milton. That pass taken away by Kylie Scott. A defender falls down. Scott trying to cut back against Shipley. Lost the handle. Pokes free and out of the zone. And Emma Olsen got in just a little too early as Lily McKenzie had not yet cleared the zone. 3:19 to go, period number one.
Joe, just in the last 3 minutes, Kylie Scott has shown her value. Great centering pass down in one corner. She comes back here, intercepts a pass at center ice. She blocks a shot that went behind. That was off her skate. Kylie Scott has been all over the ice tonight, the captain for CPCR.
Well, and certainly all of the Bluebirds stars need to step up, and they need some of the lower second and third line girls to step up if they hope to get past the mighty Crimson this time around. These same Crimson knocked the Bluebirds out of the tournament in the semifinal round last year by a 6-1 score.
although they were only outshot in that game 28-26. Bluebirds finishing with a 14-12 record, but yeah, same game last year, the section semifinals. Ended with a Maple Grove victory. They went on to win the section title over Centennial SLP.
So one poked in deep as Maple Grove gets a line change. Shelby Julian ahead. Zahalka able to fight through good pressure from Retram, but then Shipley gets the takeaway. Bernovic right there to steal it back for CPCR. Shipley getting it into the zone. Wasser will just come out and cover. And Maple Grove is going to keep that top line on as often as they can. And I think you're going to see Kylie Scott out there as often as possible when that top line is out.
Going to log heavy minutes tonight, huh? And why not, right? It's a winner-go-home situation.
Off the face-off, Retram's shot is blocked by Bowden. Comes back to the point. That shot misses wide for Emily Oakland. And now sent in deep by Erickson. Emma Olson able to dig it free for CPCR. Tessa Bowden recovers, but can't clear. It's held there at the line. Retram across, one-timer and a goal for Kelsey Olson, and the Crimson back to a 2-goal lead late in the first.
The vision, and it's just so hard for Maddie Wastrel to get across from her right post to her left post. You really got to push down and get across in time. And Olsen made the right choice to hammer it, and didn't have a ton of heat on the slapper, but had enough to get it by. And yeah, not last 2 minutes again. You gave up goals in the first couple minutes. Now another goal in the last 2 minutes, and not what you want for CPCR. And Retram just continues to assert herself with a couple goals and now an assist.
There's a reason that she is a nominee for Miss Hockey, and I would assume that Bella Shipley will be nominated for that honor next year, barring an injury or something, and we certainly hope that's not the case. That's two really, really nice hockey players. But Retram, yeah, you're right. She forced the turnover and then just put it right on a tee for her teammate Kelsey Olson, who was in a great spot at the back door and had a lot of net to look at. Long pass ahead, stopped up by Grace Erickson. CPCR recovers in their own end.
And that's
Bernovic turning up ice.
That's the sign of a good team, Joe, right? Is you have grade A chances and you take advantage of the ones you get.
Well, and you had mentioned it earlier, both of the goals coming on the rush, they haven't needed a lot of really offensive zone possession time throughout this first period. But they have a number of different weapons, and they can get loose and create those opportunities. But that was one where it looked like CPCR was in control along the boards, and all of a sudden Retram gets in there, digs it free, and finds the one player on the ice for wearing a white jersey that was unguarded. And Kelsey Olson, as you mentioned also, taking advantage of her opportunity.
Retram now one behind Shipley for the team lead in assists at 31.
Shot from Shipley right into the breadbasket of Wastrel. And the more of those shots that she can see is going to help. Shots that she sees all the way, not a lot on them, not a lot of danger, to help with the confidence. Your goaltender is key in the playoffs, absolutely. And the goaltender at the other end gave up one soft goal already. Based on her stats, I would say that it's very uncommon for her to give up more than one in a game.
That's part of the reason they've managed to rack up. They're on the verge of another 20-win season at 18-6-1. I feel like we're at the fair right now.
There's a forced turnover by Lily McKenzie. Brooklyn Johnson tried to cut back across the seam, and good stick from Grace Erickson right at the blue line, forces it offside. they'll drop the puck, but less than a second remaining on the clock. And Maple Grove is going to get to the locker room with a 2-goal lead. They get 2 goals in the first minute of the game from their Miss Hockey nominee, Stella Retram. And then she gets a late assist.
I wasn't sure if Lily McKenzie was going to go to the box there, but
Well, she did go open the penalty box. I'm not sure. That was they
Kylie
kicked her.
Scott now caulking to the refs.
They kicked her out of the faceoff dot, but nobody came over and signaled a penalty, so there couldn't have been a penalty. But they kicked her out of the faceoff dot with 0.3 seconds left, which is kind of silly. You can't even have possession in 0.3 seconds. Just drop the puck and go to the locker room. But either way you look at it, Shipley with 2 goals in the opening minute, a late assist to give her team a 3-1 lead. We'll see if the Bluebirds can try to respond. Second period coming up next on CTN. Back at the Roseville Ice Arena, Section 5 AA semifinals. Top-seeded Maple Grove Crimson with a 3-1 lead as we get ready to start the second period. Crimson came out fast. They got a pair of goals from their Miss Hockey nominee, Stella Retram, inside the first minute of the contest. Champlin Park Coon Rapids senior captain Kylie Scott cut that lead in half at 4:17 mark of that first period. But then a late one-timer goal for Kelsey Olson with just over a minute and a half to go in the period got Maple Grove back to the 2-goal lead. And with one of the better goaltenders in the state of Minnesota behind them, helps with their confidence once they get up by a couple. CPCR able to get it into the zone. Singh looking out front. Bernovic was tied up by Erickson. Loose puck comes free. Grace Erickson with it for Maple Grove. She'll skate to center and now bounce it around Scott down into the corner where Julian recovers in front of Retram. Up the boards, but first one there is Shipley, and they turned it over. CPCR trying to sprint out. Julian ahead, swept along by Cam Singh. Left behind the net, and Oakland gets it around Retram to the line, but knocked down and held there by Briley Del Castillo. Behind the bench, or behind the net. Behind the bench is a completely different animal. That one stretch pass just out of reach for Retram, and it'll be icing. But Briley Del Castillo, I believe, is the last of the 6 Del Castillo girls.
What a family legacy. I like, though.
It's a name we've had on a roster here for many, many years.
Yeah. I like what they're doing, though, as they win yet another draw. I like what they're doing, the Bluebirds, in terms of getting pucks to the front of the net, but Maple Grove defensively has done a nice job of tying up CPCR sticks and not allowing clean looks on the doorstep.
Face-off win this time for the Crimson. Elfstrand cut off along the boards by Bowden. Picked up and carried to center by Abby Oakland. CPCR with good pressure, make him go back the other way. Sillerud will dump it in deep. Oswego out of the corner will flip it out to center. This one's going to go all the way down. That'll be icing. We'll have a face-off back in the CPCR end with 15:34 to go. Good news, we're more than a minute in, and they have not allowed Maple Grove a sniff at their net. Bad news is you still got 32 and a half minutes that you have to keep them away from that net.
Yeah, and I just feel like you're going to continue to have to get bodies in front of Strom, take her eyes away, because I think she's too good to just beat, on a Scott shot that she had in the first period. I think that was kind of a fluke, and I can't imagine that's sustainable.
Yeah, as I had mentioned, if she's given up one soft goal in this contest, I can't imagine she has many games where she gives up more than one soft goal. Or
more than one goal, period.
It is very much the case since her goals against is 1.22.
It's pretty good.
It's all right. Shipley fires it in wide. Retram gets there first, plays it back to Shipley behind. Tried to go right back to her, but that misfired, and now Olsen gets to center, tipped off her stick, and then the loose puck comes right back to Emily Oakland. Plays it ahead, and it's played in. Olsen in the corner, trying to stay away from Oswego. Back to the point. Oakland is shot. And a good job there by Shelby Julian just moving Retram out of the way so that her goalkeeper could see that shot all the way from the blue line and make the easy save and cover.
Yeah, and rebound control, for both goaltenders, but especially for Wastrobe will be important, with Maple Grove doing a nice job of having players, around the crease. How will Wastrobe control those rebounds off shots from the point?
Julian tried to cut back, had it poked away, and that puck just kind of sat in a dangerous spot for a while. The Crimson starting to get some rhythm in the offensive zone early in this second period. Julian, a little bit of a yard sale, lost a glove and a stick behind the play. And now here's Kylie Scott leading a 3-on-2 at the line. Gets around Oakland, carries behind the net to the top of the circles. Now has it punched free and out to center. Right with her is Sillerud, and Sillerud able to battle and push it in on Wastrel, get herself a little bit of a scoring chance.
How's that for some ferocious forechecking?
From a defenseman.
Yeah, no less. Very impressive, and smart play by Wastrel just to melt it down and take the whistle.
Yeah, I think Addie Sillerud took it personally that Kylie Scott had come all the way down around her net and tried to come right back up to the top of the zone into a good scoring chance. And then when she lost it, Kylie maybe let up a little bit chasing the loose puck back in the center, and Sillerud said, you better put your full speed on if you want to keep that from me. Erickson reverses, and here's Bella Shipley weaving her way out to center, trying to stay away from Bernovic, whacking away, and there's a hook from Brooklyn Johnson as she tried to lift the stick, got the hand up into the hands, and Maple Grove will get their first opportunity with the player advantage.
Yeah, it's funny. Kylie Oswego wasn't sure if it was her that did it, but they're going to get Brooklyn Johnson to go to the box. And you can't fault Johnson for trying to make a play, back checking and whatnot, but now it's going to be up to her teammates to try to lift her up. Coon Rapids, Champlin Park Coon Rapids, nearly 88% on the penalty kill today. Their kill has been one of the bright spots this season.
Face-off win for the Crimson. Erickson crossed to Retram, a shot, a blocker save for Wastrel into the corner. Recovered by Bernovic, can't clear. Shipley back to Retram. Retram pressured by Briley Del Castillo. Those two tangle and chirp as they get back out, and Erickson sets up back behind her own net. I don't know if it's a wise idea to poke the bear.
Not when she's sitting on 2 goals.
Bernovic pushing it free, short-handed a chance, and wow, that almost crossed the line with the netminder as she slid almost entirely into the net. Great effort shorthanded from the Bluebirds freshman Sydney Bernovic.
Yeah, and just to force the draw in the zone will just allow them to kill off that many more precious seconds.
40 seconds left on the advantage. Olsen for Maple Grove into the faceoff dot against McKenzie, able to win it. And now played behind by Ella Olsen. Erickson off the board for Shipley. Shipley cuts cross ice and now right up the middle. Into the zone, right into a lot of traffic and turned it over. Back out for Lily McKenzie. Erickson at her own line, circles back into her own end. Pass ahead to Ella Olsen, bounces away from her. Ketting jumps on the loose puck, flips it high and all the way down, make him chase and go the length as we're down to 45 seconds remaining in the penalty. Stella Retram lost the handle a bit, tracks it down again, will weave through center and in on the right wing. Pressured there by Oswego, her pass back out to center, and the Crimson will have to regroup. Shipley back for Kelsey Olsen. She's pressured by Lily McKenzie. Olsen gets it to Erickson. Erickson ahead, it bounces away from Shipley, recovers. Her cross ice pass broken up by Lily McKenzie. Played off the boards by Milton. McKenzie missed. And then a cross ice pass that didn't click with Ella Olsen. Recovered on the far side by Lubo. Lubo pinned in the corner as the penalty to Johnson ends. And Ella Olsen can't hold at the blue line. She'll dump it in. Maple Grove getting some fresh troops on the ice. Scott overskates it, and now we'll play it off the boards for Kyla Ketting at center ice. Into the zone, McKenzie trying to settle it, had it poked free. Kelsey Olsen out to center. Kylie Scott looking for some room to skate with it. Tipped off her stick by Elfstrand, and now Elfstrand gets it right back. Off the boards, trying to spring Wilhelmy. She had it poked free by Johnson. Back and forth it goes in front of the benches. And now Johnson on the backhand across for Shelby Julian. Julian into the zone, snaps the shot on net. And an easy glove save for Danny Strom.
Very productive shift for Brooklyn Johnson after she hopped out of the box, involved in several plays, including forcing the turnover at center ice and getting the puck back in the zone where now CPCR can get a fresh line on the ice, fresh 5 skaters, and see what they can do off the draw here.
Well, Brooklyn Johnson has been a key cog for this CPCR program all 4 of her high school seasons.
And her sister was on the team last year, correct?
No.
Or 2 years ago, there was another Johnson.
There was another Johnson, but they were not related.
Not related, that's what it was.
At one point during that tenure, I think there were 3 Johnsons.
All unrelated?
Yes. Opportunity for the Crimson down the wing, but Oakland stopped point blank by the chest protector of Maddie Wastrel.
And then she did such a good job just clawing it back to herself as well and melting it down. That's the kind of smart goaltending. Don't give up big rebounds. Keep things tight. Take the whistle when you have to, and make sure your defense can get set up in front of you.
Offensive faceoff. Crimson will roll that top line right back out. This time the faceoff one to the corner. Kylie Scott had it, but Crimson double team on the forecheck and force it free. Lily McKenzie back the other way. Blocked attempt by Oakland into the corner. Here's Olsen. Her pass was deflected.
And like
stick from Bernovic. Shipley now.
Like you said, Joe, Kylie Scott out there with the top line of the Crimson.
Bernovic plays it around. Johnson trying to get it right back to her, streaking ahead. Icing is going to be waved off as the Crimson stick. Part of the reason why that pass didn't click. Crimson able to break it right back out on the near side. Johnson at her own blue line. Ahead for Lily McKenzie. Trying to weave her way through and then swept free by the captain, Emily Oakland. Kelsey Olsen behind the net.
Good back checking right there to force the turnover.
And there's a turnover again. Shipley a chance, a toe save, and a good rebound clear for Nola Milton. Milton will play it back behind for Oswego. That's the danger when you have the 2 of them on the ice. If there's no passing option and no great shooting option, they know to shoot far side low and hope that their teammate can get to that rebound.
Yeah. Because they'll be coming down the opposite wing.
Right.
Well, we're midway through the period, still scoreless between these 2 teams, but each one has had good chances, been good end-to-end action.
This one deflected in on net and turned away by Wastrel.
Because shots were 13-12 Maple Grove in the first?
That was the official tally, and we've got another
high sticking
call. It's going to go against Maple Grove.
Yeah.
I was going to say in the offensive zone, you hate to give that one up, but it's Izzy Lindberg taking the march of shame. Penalty coming at the 8:11 mark.
Do you more often see that called in the offensive or defensive zone, or just depends?
You never like to see anything in the offensive zone, but definitely not sticks getting up. Hustle plays you can kind of overlook, but stuff like that behind the play, especially when you're protecting a lead in the playoffs, and you've had just absolute control in this second period. They've spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. We talked a lot about it in the first, that they really hadn't had a ton of offensive zone time and that their goals were coming on the rush primarily, especially the first 2. But, a little different here in the second as they've come strong on the forecheck and just kept CPCR pinned down there. Good pressure shorthanded by Mickaday to get it in deep and give pressure. Ketting trying to look ahead for McKenzie. That was deflected and did not connect. Crimson can't clear. Johnson gets it to Ketting. Ketting plays it to the far corner. Just under a minute remaining in the power play. Across for Brooklyn Johnson, a shot. It's blocked with the skates by Ella Olsen. Johnson with it again. Up top for Shelby. Julian will skate it down into the far corner. Trying to get it through the seam. It was deflected behind. Brooklyn Johnson pinched to the boards by Shipley. Sent down deep. Ketting trying to get past Erickson. Sends it right through the blue paint and off the far boards. Julian leaves for Erickson, or McKenzie rather. McKenzie down low. Ketting. Not a lot left in the tank. Great hold at the line by Brooklyn Johnson, who plays it right in on net. Just stick to the corner. We're down to the final 10 seconds. Shipley at her own blue line. Lost the handle. Bowden gets the loose puck. Retram had it momentarily and swept it along. And that'll do it for the penalty. Really only one shot on goal. And here's Lindbergh. Fresh out of the box. Gets the puck. Puts a shot on goal.
A nice save and what was almost going to be a 3-on-1. I'm not sure that Lindbergh made the best decision, but she did put it on net and forced a save from Wolstrel.
So an off the board and out. But Maple Grove, again, just regroup at their own blue line, just dump it back in. Shelby Julian right back out for Cam Singh. Singh tying up there, able to get control away from Emily Oakland. Turns, has some room, down low. Bowden back, tried to do a little give and go, but got a little crossed up on the recovery, did Cam Singh. Here's Retro trying to work her way free. Retro dump attempt, hit Kylie Scott. She gets it right back. Carries into the corner. Pressured there by Scott. Will sweep it up the boards. Walking in is Elfstrand. A shot right into the midsection of Maddie Wastrel, in good position to make the save look easy and get another face-off.
Joe, that's the kind of hockey smarts of Stella Retram. She gets tied up along the end boards by Kylie Scott. She goes back up the wall and immediately goes to the front of the net and allows her teammate Maddie Elfstrand to walk in and shoot one with the net front presence.
Elfstrand plays it across. Shot from Sillerud, blockered away by Wastrel. CPCR can't get it out the far side. Elfstrand carries deep into the corner and then swings it back to the near side.
I will say that for as much offensive zone time as Maple Grove has had, I think the Bluebirds have really tightened up here defensively in the second period.
They have done a better job. They have not allowed, I'm not sure if any, except for at the end of that penalty maybe, the odd player rush that they did in the first. And they're keeping them to the outside. Here's Kylie Scott trying to get through the entire Crimson team. She made it through 4, but there were one last girl she couldn't quite get past. Oswego steps in and sends it in deep. Emma Olsen tied up down there. Support comes from Audrey Mickaday. And now it's Sillerud playing it off the boards all the way down. That'll be icing. Ella Olsen giving a great effort, but I don't know that there are many players in the world that could have caught up with that one.
Yeah, the stretch passes, they're a high risk, high reward kind of play. But big draw here for the Bluebirds with under 5 minutes to go here in the second in the Maple Grove zone.
Face-off win for the Crimson. Lubau gets it out to center. Suckup tied up by Bowden. Puck came free to the Cardinals momentarily, or Bluebirds, momentarily. Stopped up along the boards. Maple Grove able to get it back out to center. CPCR able to get it right back in, sent through the top of the crease. Oswego not able to hold the line, trying to keep it away from Lubau. Lubau chases her behind the net. Pass out of the reach for Julian. Olsen can't get it out to center. Oswego dumped at the blue line as she was tangled up there with Wilhelmy. Shipley, a chance, misses high and wide. And the net came off, so the faceoff will stay in the CPCR end. And
You know, they just want to stay close, right? You know,
100%.
3-1. I think you'd absolutely take that if you're Todd Gutterman. Yeah, you may not have scored, and I mean, there's still 3:40 left to play. But if this is how it is going to the second intermission, I think CPCR has to feel okay about that.
I think absolutely they do. Again, they were down 4-0 after 2 periods in the regular season meeting, and they came back ended up losing 4-2. But they know that they have the ability to score on this team, and they have the resiliency to come from behind. They were hoping not to have to do that today, but of course you deal with the ever-changing situation. Steal at center ice for Lily McKenzie. McKenzie, toe drag, puts a shot on. Nothing on that shot, and an easy save. Swept away by Strom. I think Lily was just hoping to put it in and then get around the defender and jam for a rebound. But Strom swept it away. Johnson holding at the line, get it past Shipley. Scott pokes it free. Scooped up by Sillerud, and Sillerud will skate to the zone, get into a good spot, put a shot on, and nearly got to her own rebound as well. Still fighting for it. Now here's Stella Retrom. Sends it deep. Therefore, it was Shipley momentarily. Scott pokes it away, plays it up the boards, and Sydney Bernovic will get to the blue line, dump it in. CPCR trying to get a line change. Maple Grove plays it back out, right back in by Briley Del Castillo. Emily Oakland, cross ice, held there by Del Castillo. Del Castillo pinches down, jams it back into the corner. Failed clear attempt, a little backhander by Bowden, but pad save, shot through traffic, deflected, ended up going just wide.
Nearly redirected in.
Yeah, by a high stick of a Maple Grove player. So
hey,
it would have been interesting to see, had it gone in, would they have called it a high stick, or would they have caught the fact that it was a high stick but by a defensive player?
Obviously no replay here, so.
And here comes a penalty. It's going to go against Kelsey Olson,
and it's another high sticking on Maple Grove, their second straight high stick.
And this one's kind of a weird one. She was just trying to pinch her, but with the way she came in with the stick across the back, and the stick was up high, made contact with the head. Of course, Olson's going to argue it, but it's going to fall on deaf ears. So yeah. CPCR with another power play opportunity. Only one shot their last advantage. They'd like to get a little more zone time and see if they can put a little more pressure on this very, very good Maple Grove goaltender. Scott goes down low. McKenzie trying to send it back out front, but that was broken up. Johnson trying to protect along the boards, forced out to center by Audrey Mickaday. Kylie Scott into the zone, left corner. Tried to walk back out front, and a jam attempt there by Kylie Ketting, but Strom able to make the catch.
I absolutely love that play, Joe, because everyone thought she was going to go for the wraparound attempt, and then she slams on the brakes and tries to stuff it short side and ends up sliding out front. Strom able to make the save, but what a bright idea from Scott. Little sneak attack there, and it nearly worked.
Face-off win, but not enough on it, and Grace Erickson jumps on the loose puck for Maple Grove, races to the other end, puts a strong shot on. Scott had the rebound momentarily, but Erickson able to pry it free and play it to the corner.
Retrom out there, dangerous on the forecheck, shorthanded.
Retrom and Shipley. Shipley gets the loose puck, tried to center. That was broken up. CPCR defenders falling on top of one another to make sure that pass didn't get through. Lily McKenzie comes up with the loose puck but can't clear. Retrom lost it, regains, plays it down low. Shipley turns and a backhand chance is handled by Wasterling. Close, 19 seconds left on the CPCR penalty or power play.
What a find though on the doorstep. Cross ice to the far post by
Retram.
By Retram, thank you. And Shipley on the backhand, great save by Wastrel, as that was basically a point-blank chance. But 19 seconds left in the period, 51 still on the power play, so CPCR will have a little bit of power play to start the third period.
Oswego ahead, bounces over the stick of Bowden and played right back in deep by Emily Oakland. Julian pokes it along. Oswego looking to pass, but stepping up to keep it in was Ella Olson, and that's right at the buzzer. So no scoring in the middle period. CPCR will have 32 seconds of advantage when they start the third period, but it comes down to the final 17 minutes. CPCR needs at least 2 or their season will come to an end. You're watching CTN Light coverage of the Section 5 AA Girls Hockey semifinals. Back at Roseville Ice Arena, the Section 5 AA girls hockey semifinals. Number 1 seeded Maple Grove with a 3-1 lead over the number 4 seed Champlin Park Coon Rapids Fighting Bluebirds. Joe Young and Bill Hupp above the action, and no scoring since the first period, but Maple Grove, it looked like, scoring 2 goals in the opening minute of the contest, looked like they might be able to run away with this, and the longer it stays close, the more dangerous Champlin Park Coon Rapids becomes.
Absolutely. And I think, Joe, I mean, it may sound trite to say, but the next goal is critical. Whoever scores the next goal, that's going to be so huge. Because if it's CPCR, they cut it to 1. All of a sudden, sticks get a little tighter. The grip on the sticks for Maple Grove, and CPCR has the momentum. But if Maple Grove is the one to score, all of a sudden you've got a 3-goal lead and a little bit of breathing room. So that next goal is going to be critical.
With an exceptional goaltender behind you.
Exactly.
And CPCR will start with a short power play here in the third at 32 seconds left on the high sticking penalty to Kelsey Olson. Scott forces a turnover and able to walk in onside, take his shot looking for that top shelf short side. Snagged with the glove by Danny Strom.
It worked once. I'd be surprised if it worked again, but you gotta shoot your shot. You gotta get the puck on net. So great job by Scott to force the turnover at the blue line, and then get a shot on goal.
Down to the final 5 seconds of the power play. McKenzie across to Johnson. It got away from her a bit into the corner. Recovers. Back across. Skips away from Lily McKenzie in the corner. Up top. Scott had to catch it on her backhand. Gets it to Johnson out front. The redirect by Bernovic just misses wide. Bernovic circles out of the corner. Finds a little room. Flips it off Strom. Tried to recollect, but it's pushed into the corner and now swept along by Emily Olson and Stella Rettram. Able to play it back into the Champlin Park Coon Rapids end. Scott's pass attempt hit Shipley in the skates, and Rettram had a chance that was gloved away by Wastrel. Shipley chips it down. It hopped over Rettram's stick. She and Scott tie up in the corner. Bernovic there to support for CPCR. Comes free for Lily McKenzie behind her own net. McKenzie, long pass was behind Brooklyn Johnson. Settled in her own zone by Grace Erickson. She's chased behind the net and drags down Johnson in the corner. And CPCR going right back on the power play as Grace Erickson a little surprised by the speed and tenacity of Brooklyn Johnson.
Yep, the hook called on Grace Erickson. So CPCR 0 for 3 on the power play this evening, but another chance to get that all-important next goal. And that's one of the things the Bluebirds have done an excellent job of, is stay out of the penalty box today.
And that's been a key for them down this stretch. And there's a turnover in their own zone. Olsen lifts one just over the crossbar. Far side, good pressure from Mickaday to keep CPCR bottled up in their own end. And now Ella Olsen. Trouble Singh. Del Castillo plays it back behind. A quick turnaround chance for Oswego. And Maple Grove able to get control and get it out of the zone. Julian sends it right back in, and this one whistled down offside.
Not sure I saw that myself, but
looked like a dump. She might have still had possession across the blue line on the dump attempt. That's the only thing I can think. Rettram with a face-off win, flips it in high, and it's gloved by Wastrel and made the late decision to kind of shovel it to Scott, but the whistle had already blown, so.
Yeah, sometimes as a netminder, you're sort of caught in between, trying to decide what to do, but you really have to make that decision right away in order to play on.
Rettram bats the face-off into the far corner and then goes and collects it. Out to the point, the shot by Oakland sticked away by Wastrel. Getting so used to saying your name, I say it everywhere. Stella Rettram has been impressive as advertised. A Miss Hockey nominee. Finalists will be announced on Friday. Both these teams hoping to have a game on Friday. That is when the championship will take place. Top 4 seeds made it to the semifinal. Centennial Spring Lake Park, the 2 seed, will take on North Wright County, the 3 seed after this. Backhand chance in close for Scott. Shut down by Strom, and she covers for the faceoff.
She just wanted to elevate that puck, but could not. But a great chance, a great look, point blank for Scott, although not the easiest, as she's sort of the angle was against her. Yeah, Rettram's been really impressive. Shipley has too, although not as much in terms of the scoring. Just 1 assist for Shipley tonight, but she's been pretty good, pretty active and involved.
There's a strip at the blue line by Pill Wilhelmy trying to get on her horse, but tracked down and had it taken away by Kylie Scott. Kylie Scott trying to get her engine going down the right wing. Carry it in behind, protecting the puck, looking for a teammate. And then lost the handle, is going to drop it off there for Brooklyn Johnson. Here is Bernovic back into the zone. The penalty is over. And right back on the attack comes Grace Erickson, able to clear the zone. CPCR will regroup at their own blue line. Lily McKenzie weaves her way in. Trying to center, but tied up and could not get it out front. Zaholka and Johnson both in to help on the forecheck. Johnson comes up with the loose puck, chips it to Emma Olsen behind the net, but that's taken away by Oakland. Emily Oakland circling away from pressure. Now we'll skate with it. Had it tipped free by Lily McKenzie. Crimson able to chip it out to center. Sent right back in off the leg of the lineman, so didn't get deep. That hit traffic in front of the bench on the line change. Flip to the line and not out. Aswegan holds. Bowden across the top of the zone. And now we'll sweep it in deep. Only one there is Maple Grove's Kelsey Olsen. She's pressured in the far corner now, but Olsen able to get it out to center. Digs it free and slides it to Rettram at the blue line. Rettram had it tipped off her stick. Had to come back out. Grace Erickson stepping up. Trying to get around Milton in the corner. Milton battles. Tied up in those skates. Poking at it is Zaholka. Milton able to come up with the loose puck for CPCR. Tried to reverse it for Zaholka, but she had just abandoned that corner. Erickson couldn't get it in and around either. And Emma Olsen able to get it out to center for CPCR. Shipley had it tipped off her stick. Erickson tips it free. Hacked at by Julian. Rettram gets loose in on a breakaway and lost the handle as she went to try to drag it back to her backhand for the same move she had for goal number 1.
Oh, that was frightening for a moment. If you're a Bluebirds fan, that was
the last player you want to see all alone in the slot. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Stella Rettram had a hat trick against the Bluebirds in the first meeting. A 4-2 win for Maple Grove.
It's kind of flashbacks to the first minute when she had 2 goals just like that, bearing down on net.
Aswegan took one last move. Bernovic tried to drag a leg, but her leg just not quite long enough to stay onside.
Still 10:50 left, still plenty of time for the Bluebirds, but you've got to figure they got to get a goal here in the next 3-4 minutes. Cut the deficit to 1.
Well, they would certainly like to, but this team does have the ability to score in bunches, but you don't want to rely on that, certainly in the playoffs against a goaltender like Strom. And a defense like Maple Grove. They have done a nice job, although giving up zone time, not a ton of great scoring opportunities out of that zone time. Singh with a good steal at the line, able to keep in the zone. Scott will step up and pitchfork it down. And we have another Maple Grove penalty.
Tripping, I believe it's going to be the call.
Well, and they're pointing at the CPCR bench, and they're pointing the face-off back to the CPCR end. Oh, I think they're calling it a hand pass.
Oh.
Okay, that would. I guess I didn't.
I thought
really
maybe
see
it was gonna be Ella Olson who's whistled for the trip. But
yeah, I thought she might have gotten her stick in the legs, but yeah, I think they're calling this a
hand pass and not a penalty. Okay.
So the face-off coming back to the left.
Certainly could have been a trip,
Wastrel.
though.
Face-off win for CPCR. Scott behind her own net, lost the handle, pressured by Shipley. Avoids Olson as well. Puck comes free and scooped up by Lily McKenzie. She went to clear, and it hopped over her blade as well. Briley Del Castillo pinches Retram to the boards, but still Retram comes up with the loose puck, gets it back to the point. Oakland tried to give it back to her, and now Retram to Shipley. Ooh. Shipley out front, intercepted by Scott. Scott will put on her speed and try and skate to the other end. Tipped off her stick just before the blue line. A great poke check from Emily Oakland.
And on the other end, a great job by Lily McKenzie to step into Retram and deliver as hard a hit as you'll see in girls hockey. And sometimes you got to be physical with those good players, knock them off their game, not allow them to dance around the zone with the puck. Legally, of course.
Of course. Good poke check there by Briley Del Castillo, and this one flipped up into the Maple Grove bench.
Yeah, you look at the shots, you look at the pace of play and zone time, and I think Maple Grove has just shaded it, but only just. And, you know, ever since you take away that first minute of the hockey game, and I think it's been a pretty even contest other than that.
It's a 1-1 game after the first minute. And the shots were 24-22 in favor of Maple Grove after the second period. So it's been tight both ways. And both teams really doing a pretty good job defensively of getting in passing lanes, disrupting things, not allowing the other team to get into a rhythm, keeping them to the outside when you're in your defensive zone. Tried to spring Retram again and waited too long. Shot from Bernovic, blockered away by Strom. Played to the line, held there by Milton. Right back in deep behind her own net goes Maddie Elfstrand. She will take control out of the near corner, ahead for Retram at center. Retram leaves it off for Olson. Olson lost it in her skates a bit, pressured by Oswego into the corner. They tie up. Lily McKenzie digs it free for CPCR. Lily McKenzie, the sophomore who leads the Bluebirds in scoring this season with 41 points. CPCR will lose a couple of really impressive players. Most notably, I think they have 5 or 6 total seniors, but notably Kylie Scott and Brooklyn Johnson, a couple of the captains who have been impact players for the program since their freshman year. But they've got a number of girls that have proven this year that this program's in good hands. Sydney Bernovic, just a freshman. This one changed angles, but a big save with a pad by Wastrel. She's second on the team in scoring as a freshman, and it's something like 16 of the last 18 games that she's had a point in. Just absolutely outstanding. And Kylie Oswego on the back end as a defender has become an impact player, and she's right up there as well. 5th on the team in scoring with 18 points. So look for those two to kind of pick up the mantle that has been left behind. Tessa Bowden, another freshman that's come in and been very impressive. And from what I hear, they have an 8th grader who probably would have been their best player this season, but in District, or in Okehennepin rather, District 10 in Okehennepin, not allowed to play varsity athletics when there is a middle school program available. And so she is down at the U15 level, absolutely lighting it up. Kylie Scott tried to go back against the grain, went off a skate into the far corner. Centering attempt from Del Castillo. Didn't make it through. Zahalka down low. Olsen out front. Ketting turns and shoots a save. Rebound loose. Poked at. Comes free and a goal! Emma Olsen able to poke it in with 7:01 to go. And the Bluebirds are right in this contest.
Tremendous tenacity, Joe, from the Fighting Bluebirds, led by Scott on the backhand initially. Strom made a couple saves, and then somehow it falls to Emma Olsen, and the senior buries it to cut the deficit to 1.
That's a gigantic goal for Emma Olsen. She's not a top scorer on the team. She's a role player. She plays that role well. I really like what I've seen from her this year on the forecheck especially, because she comes in and brings pressure. She's not the cleanest skater. She doesn't have the best hands or the biggest shot, but right there in the right spot at the right time, and the forecheck pressure is what led to that goal for the Bluebirds.
How about Kyla Ketting getting the single assist on that?
Well,
on that
she
goal
was
from
in
Olsen.
there starting the whole thing. She had the initial shot and then just kept bouncing it around and making sure that Strom couldn't cover.
Yeah, I said Scott, but it was Ketting who actually had the initial shot that forced Strom
Here's
to make the
Retram
save.
back the other way. Long shot in, saved by Wastrel. And I'm surprised to see Retram take that shot from 50 feet away when she was going down one-on-one against a forward.
She must have worried about the back check behind her. But yeah, this is
maybe it
anybody's
was
game
Nola
now.
Milton. I thought initially that it was Brooklyn Johnson back there, but it might have been Nola Milton. So it was a defender, but still, we've seen her dangle through defenders, and she certainly is capable of it. But a good gap then by Milton or Johnson, whichever one it was that was back there, to keep her outside, make her take a long shot that was easily handled. And I'm a little surprised that that one wasn't called as interference.
How is that not interference? She just got ridden into the boards and knocked
you're
off
allowed,
the puck.
You're allowed to be rubbed off the puck. It's not a check as long as you don't, forcibly hit. But because the puck had already been dumped in, I thought the hold was there a little too long, and she moved into her a little too much without the puck. Here's a 2-on-1 for the Crimson. Mikaday across the save by Wastrel, denies Ella Olsen. Crimson play it back in. Olsen plays it in on net, and it skips off the stick of Wastrel and into the net behind her, and that could be the one that clinches it right after the Bluebirds had stolen the momentum. A seemingly harmless dump attempt takes a funny hot off the keeper, and it's right back to a 2-goal lead for Maple Grove.
And her teammates consoling her. She's obviously devastated by the mistake, but yeah, just one thrown in from the point, thrown on net, and Wastrel, you just saw it go 5-hole on her and end up in the back of the net. I think she was as surprised about that one as anyone, Joe. But yeah, you just hate to see that with just under 5 minutes left to play here as the momentum was on your side.
Well, for Maple Grove, maybe a little bit of a sigh of relief, but they got to know from that pressure that it's not time to take off the foot off the gas. But that certainly helps things. And we saw most of this third period, they're satisfied to dump it out, dump it in, and then just give chase. Loose puck bouncing around, dug free by Brooklyn Johnson. She gets it to Cam Singh down the right wing for CPCR. Singh looking out front. McKenzie tied up and not able to get it cleanly. Shipley stood up there by Briley Del Castillo. Singh trying to flip it out front. Still loose, reaching for it and grabbing it with her blocker hand was Danny Strom.
Ella Olsen getting her 16th goal of the season from Maple Grove there. And again, just fundamental hockey, speculative, throw it on net, see what happens, and just kind of almost a dump it in deep type of play. And
oh yeah, she
tough.
She was hoping to just get it in deep, maybe get an offensive zone face-off, and Wastrel had to take a funny bounce off her stick, get in behind her, and her team back to a 2-goal deficit as we're under 4 minutes remaining. Maple Grove trying to punch their ticket for the section final. They are the defending champions.
It would be their 4th straight trip. They've seemingly battled with Centennial SLP every year since Centennial SLP moved from 7A down to, or AA down to 5AA. They'll be next against North Wright County in the other semifinal.
Yeah, North Wright County had beaten both Champlin Park, Coon Rapids, and Rogers during the regular season. They beat CPCR early in the year in an overtime, come from behind overtime win, and then beat Rogers a little more convincingly a little more recently. But they also tied Maple Grove the last week of the regular season. So due to those 3 games, even though they were behind both CPCR and Rogers in the QRF rankings, able to state their case and jump from the 5th spot all the way up to the 3rd spot. But they won convincingly 4-0 in the quarterfinal round against Osseo Park Center. Centennial Spring Lake Park, an 8-0 win, I believe, over Mounds View Irondale.
Yes, 8-0.
Drop
Noel
pass.
Hemmer had a hat trick for the Cougars.
Well, and they also have a Miss Hockey nominee. Oswego being a little aggressive on the pinch and Retram back the other way, but
good recovery by Oswego there.
Oswego able to get back and get it with her skates. Shot misses wide. Retram trying to jam it home, then trying to just poke it to the front of the net. Brooklyn Johnson just gets it and sends it the length of the ice. They'll take the icing to get some fresh legs out. 2:30 to go.
Now is when you shorten the bench, right, and then the short shifts.
And I was going to say, not long you'll see CPCR burn their timeout, and this is where they will use it.
Oh.
You'd love to have an offensive zone face-off for your timeout, but sometimes when the time is right, you just got to know when to stop the clock because they've got to talk with 2 goals down. How early do you get Wastrel to the bench?
Yep, and you got to give your players a rest too. Helps. You can maybe get the top line back out there for this all-important draw.
But yeah, it's been a really impressive season for CPCR, especially over the last couple of months of the season. They won their last 6 games, last 5 of the regular season, and then of course the win over Rogers in the quarterfinals. They went 13-3-2 since early December. The 3 losses: Maple Grove, Minnetonka, and Andover.
Whew.
That's 3 of the top 6 teams in the state.
No doubt about it. Those are quality losses, every single one. And, impressive to see the kind of schedule that Coach Gutterman has lined up for the Bluebirds. And you wonder if the slow start was trying to integrate some of the freshmen into the lineup. And obviously it sounds like they have a talented freshman who's going to be joining things next year.
Eighth grader,
as an 8th grader right now. But so the future is certainly bright for
I've even spoken
Gutterman's program.
I took it with a grain of salt when Gutterman was telling me how good she is, young Miss Semling. But when I started hearing it from other coaches saying, she's the real deal, and she'd definitely be one of their top players this year. It goes a long way when it comes from opposing coaches.
Sure.
But it's been a very fun season to watch, and Bluebirds need a little bit of a miracle here in the last 2.5 if they hope to continue to the final. Stopped up behind, scooped up by Kylie Scott. Scott avoids the stick of Olsen. Will throw it in deep and give chase. Strom will swing it back around. Waiting for it is Johnson. A shot through traffic just over the crossbar, and Strom had no idea. Was completely screened, never saw that. if that's 6 inches lower, it's a 1-goal game again.
Oh, that would have been a laser in the upper corner, and you could see it rising.
Maybe 8 inches, but
yeah, it would have been a great goal.
It was exactly where she wanted to shoot it, just a little too tall. Face-off win for Brnovik. McKenzie plays it down deep. Played around by Kelsey Oakland. Jam back across by CPCR out to the point. McKenzie. Her shot deflected up high by Retram. Out of the far corner is Brooklyn Johnson out front. Bouncing puck. Scooped up by Strom. And we'll have a face-off to her right.
Yep, and again, this is what they need to do. Get bodies in front of Strom, take her eyes away, not let her get good sight on those shots from the point and from the upper circle.
Yeah, player turnover is a fact of life for high school programs, and I've been doing this long enough that I always have players that I've really enjoyed watching during their high school careers and seeing their time come to an end. This is loose behind Strom, but she was alerted to it and able to roll back on it. But that shot from Johnson got through, and Strom able to fall back on the puck that was just sitting behind her. 1:28 on the clock.
I'll tell you what, Joe, CPCR is not making this comfortable for Maple Grove.
No. Well, and I was just going to say Brooklyn Johnson has been a lot of fun to watch as a 4-year varsity player, and Kylie Scott certainly. That shot nearly tipped home by Ketting on the doorstep. Scott with it up top, coming across, shoots. That deflected into the corner. Lily McKenzie recovers. Scott up top. Shot and scores! 1:08 to go. It's still a 1-goal game, and Kylie Scott lights the lamp for the second time tonight. She has just been unbelievable the last couple of weeks. Multi-goal games, I think 5 or 6 straight now. Or multi-point games, I should say. But just as I was going to get a little teary about maybe seeing her play for the last time, she says we may not be done yet. But I've known Kylie since she was a very young child, and she's just been an absolute joy to watch. I love the way she plays the game. An exceptional skater, has good hockey IQ, heads up, good stick control, good shot, obviously. And into the final minute, Lily McKenzie back in her own end. Trying to get around Shipley, lost an edge, and now Shipley chips it back in.
McKenzie gets the lone assist on that, and Scott absolutely putting her team on her back. It's a 1-goal game inside of a minute to go.
Brooklyn Johnson had it poked free by Retram. Scott digs it off the boards, gets away from Shipley. Retram pokes it loose. Shipley had it a chance. Brnovik in, takes the shot, misses high. Extra attacker on. Johnson fanned on it. McKenzie couldn't get to it. Both Shipley and Retram are out there, but they are both just absolutely gassed. Ketting can't get to it. Shipley able to get it and send it all the way down. It'll be icing. 3.7 seconds left.
Win the draw, back to Scott at the point. She fires it home and ties this game. We'll see if they can
your
do
prediction.
so. That's the hope anyway. That's the last gasp effort that CPCR has with just 3.7 seconds left.
It's been a great game, a lot of fun, and I feel so bad for Maddie Wastrow because now, as Maple Grove wins and freezes it in the corner for the buzzer, that Ella Olsen goal, which was no more than a dump in from the blue line, turns out to be the game winner.
Yeah, you feel for Wastrow. She's taking it pretty hard, and you understand why. But she also made plenty of big saves in the game to keep them in this. So
100%.
Credit to her and Kylie Scott. What a titanic effort from the captain. Her and Brooklyn Johnson were everywhere tonight, and certainly nothing that Coach Gutterman or the friends and family of the players, nothing to feel shame about because they
it's never
represented
easy.
very well.
Yeah, it's never easy to see your season come to an end, but boy, did they put forth effort and represent their schools and their program incredibly well.
Tough way for the season to end, but again, yeah, lots to be proud of if you're wearing that sweater, because they certainly gave it a good go against the top seed and one of the better teams in the state.
Well, so the Crimson advance. They will await the winner of Centennial Spring Lake Park and North Wright County. But that is going to do it for a very exciting edition of CTN Light. We want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. I want to thank Bill Hupp for coming out and helping me out. For all of us, I'm Joe Young saying good night.